What's up, everybody? So I'm just making sure that we're live. I'm just getting the phone fired up. See, and I'm not seeing it, but how's everybody's day going? Oksana, what is up? I'm so excited that you're here, and I'm so excited that you got some good stuff from that e-com example, and I'm going to dive into other areas of e-com as well, but super excited. So looks like it still hasn't shown up on my phone, but I see Oksana is on, and it's shown good on my end on my eCam. So I'm going to start and dive in. You ready? So what is up, everybody? I was right before going live. I was just a little bit late. I apologize for that. But I was rocking out to High Hopes by Panic at the Disco. If you know that song, like, I love that song because that just encompasses me and my mindset and things like that right now. So go check it out. But today we are talking about how to use and wrap up your stories in a way that isn't awkward or weird, that resolves nicely, but also motivates your audience to take action, right? So that is what we are going to talk about today, and I'm super excited for it. So let's go ahead and start. Okay, everybody, hope today has been going awesome for you guys. I wanted to talk today with you guys about, how to wrap up a story, how to tie it up in a nice little bow so that it ends and resolves nicely. There's no awkwardness and you just cut it off and leave, or, and those kinds of things, but also to use it to get your audience to do something or be motivated to do something as well. This week, as we've gone through, the last couple days have been about kind of some ways to introduce. Yesterday it was all about introductions, how to prime and get things ready through stories and bringing people into your world, or introducing them to you, and then you go from there and you run with the baton. Today we're going to talk about wrapping it up. First of all, has everyone, I just have a quick question out of curiosity. Has this been good for you guys? Have you guys enjoyed what I've been sharing up to this point? If so, comment what your favorite thing that you've learned so far is, and that will help me know if I'm getting things right. Okay, and then also, I'm so excited. Again, I want you guys to ask questions or share with me things that you want me to focus on or look into or to address specifically. We started with ecom because we had two people ask specifically for that right out the gate, so we just decided to go right to it, right? So that's the same kind of thing. I want to give you guys the stuff that will work. But yesterday we talked about introductions. Today we're talking about conclusions and wrapping things up. Now, the things that I want you guys to get at the end of this is I want you guys to see, again, that you can take your stories and your experiences and you can use them and utilize them to get yourself more sales, increase your revenue, and make more money in your business. And also to engage your client base or your audience. I want you to be able to take these principles that we're talking about and put them to work immediately. You don't have to go and do a whole bunch of extra study or things like that. I want to give you things that you can work immediately. And so at the end of this, I want you to be able to go and hop on a Facebook Live or an Instagram story or a podcast or something and be able to wrap it up nicely and get people to take action, right? So this is where we're going to start, okay? So how many times, and go in the comments and tell me this, how many times have you awkwardly stumbled when telling a story for your business or talking about your business, and either trying to transition into, the sales pitch, or giving a call to action, wanting your audience to do something. How many times have you struggled or felt super awkward yourself when trying to make that transition? Anybody? Let's see in the comments. Let me know if you have. Okay, so it can be awkward at times. When I was a financial advisor, I loved sitting in people's living rooms, or when they would come to the office and we'd be in one of the conference rooms and we'd sit there and we'd talk. And I get to learn all about them, what they do for work, about their family situations, some of their goals, all of these kinds of things. And I would love it. But then there was the time where it's like, okay, well, we're here to talk about finances or life insurance or mutual funds or whatever it was that we were talking about to set the appointment. And that was always an awkward transition for me to be like, oh man, I really think that you're awesome, but you're going to die someday. So let's talk about this, right? It was hard to go from rapport building to going to the sale or transitioning and things like that, and knowing how long and when to resolve things, right? And I got okay at it. I got better at it with practice in that medium. But again, I was in the wrong kind of business. Now it's a lot easier for me. But I want to share with you guys a couple of things. So if you're taking notes, I love it. That's so cool. You are going to go far with this information. But what you need to do, okay, let's just say, Oksana, you're the one that's engaging right now, so I'm going to give you the love here. So let's say Oksana is getting ready to do a Facebook Live, let's say. I know that you're intimidated by it. You have nothing to be intimidated about being on camera. You're good. Don't worry about that. But let's just say she's going to do that, and she's going to talk about, hey, I've started this new business venture or this new path, and all those kinds of things. How should she structure her story? And especially to be able to think about it intentionally from beginning before you start, how to resolve the story, okay? So here we go. You need to have a purpose for your story, right? If you want it to resolve nicely, you have to have a purpose and an intention behind it. I always say begin with the end in mind, right? So you need to say, whether that is regard the goals that you want to happen after the live or the presentation or whatever it might be. I always say, what do you want your audience to feel, think, or do as a result of hearing the story? And that will help you figure out which stories to tell to bring people on that journey, right? But you need to focus on each one of those three areas. Feel, what do you want them to feel? So that's an emotional thing. What do you want them to feel emotionally? Even physiologically, if you want. What do you want them to think? What logical things do you want to be firing in their head? And what action do you want them to take? What do you want them to do? Okay? And when you can identify those three things, and there might be two of them that have the same thing, where you want them to feel this and do this, or and that's the same thing, but write them down as you start. And that will help you know how you need to take them on the journey, okay? So, whether that's you want them to sit, on top of it, if it's like you want them to buy this thing or opt into this list or subscribe to this thing or sign up for this other thing or engage in this, or, you need to always be making an offer and having them do something, a call to action. So, one of my friends, Russell Brunson, he and I were talking. He had me up on stage actually last year, and we were talking about my business and what I'd been doing. And he said to always make an offer. And I am always trying to think, what is that offer? It doesn't always have to mean go and buy this thing or go opt in over here, right? You can do that as much as you want if you have products or things like that to drive people to. But there are other ways to call people to action and get them to do stuff. So always make an offer. begin with the end in mind, have a purpose, have all those things in your mind when you're getting ready to go live and tell a story. Now, these principles work with something as simple as an Instagram story or a thread of like 4 or 5 Instagram stories strung together to get people to do something, right? It can be done in presentations on stage, in webinars. It can be done in the copy of on your funnel or in the story or the written out product descriptions for things. And I'm gonna on a future one, I'm gonna dive into an awesome company that does a great job of that. You can do this in Facebook Lives. You can do this in person, face to face. It's a simple thing that you can do, and it applies to any type of messaging, branding, or sales for your business. Okay, so this is the thing. You get into your stories, you get into talking about your business and stuff like that. If you had a good intro or a good warm up, people are primed and engaged and all those kinds of things. And then other times they might drop off as you go too long or you waffle and you're not making sense. But as it comes time to go from telling a story to switching to that call to action, it can be so awkward and it trips up so many people. And if it feels awkward for you as the person saying it, it's awkward for the audience. Okay, it's very awkward, and it doesn't. It translates through to the audience very easily. It's easy to see, and so when you can mentally break it down and have that purpose, you lead them on the journey, right? So sorry, I was looking down at my notes to make sure I didn't miss something here, but when you begin and tell your story about how you started this thing, I'm just going to talk. I'm going to use an example. So some of you, Oksana, you are coming. You bought a ticket to a workshop that I'm doing in Phoenix in a couple of weeks. And so I'm going to use that as an example to kind of show you the process. How's that sound? So for people who come to this workshop in Phoenix, it's going to be something where you are going to learn and unlock the secrets to using your stories and your experiences to increase your revenue, your sales, and your client engagement. And you're going to learn how to do these. A couple of people are going to be able to be in a hot seat and get some specific work for their story and their business. And then you're going to be able to put it to work as soon as you're done, sharing and networking and all of those things to be able to increase and boost your numbers. So by coming to this, it's a 3-hour workshop, right? Where I'm going to be breaking down all of the components of the revenue and story connection. And then we're going to talk about, how to find the elements in stories that connect and get your audience engaged and ready to, like sitting on the edge of their chair, ready to buy, going through it. And then also to be able to get through the mental blocks and the things that hold us back, But how amazing would it feel to spend 3 hours on I think it's Thursday, 3 hours on a Thursday morning or a Thursday afternoon with people that you know, and some people, there are people that are coming that aren't members of the 2CCX that won't be there for that event. But you'll be with familiar faces. You're with somebody who has spent hours and years of his life studying storytelling in the visual medium, to be able to sit for 3 hours and have the things unlocked in you and help you realize that you have a story that's worthy of telling and that it can make you money in your business, and then you can go and put it to work immediately. How incredible would that be? Would that be worth 3 hours of your time? Absolutely. People pay me lots of money to sit down one-on-one with them and work through things. 2 people per session are going to get a chance to have that, right? And it's just like incredible to be able to have that opportunity at a very low cost. It's less than, if you're going to go out to dinner later that night, you're going to spend more than the cost of admission to go to dinner with your friends afterwards, right? And it's just... it's so fun. Like I've been able to help so many people with this. And like Lance Ball, I mentioned him yesterday. He is implementing the stuff that he's been learning just in the last couple days. He has been putting it to work in his business, and he is doing it, and he's tagging me and showing me, and it's so fun to see him try stuff, and it worked. And like he can, I was talking with him earlier today, and I'm gonna have him come and be a guest. We're gonna do an episode centered around his business. He's a plumber. If it works for a plumber in Wyoming, and it's getting him traction, could it work for you too? So you need to go to the registration page and book your ticket and come, because in 3 hours you'll be able to have results and go to work putting stuff together, right? And so, that is super easy, and it's for the simple cost of $49, right? Super cheap. People pay me thousands of dollars to sit down and talk with them one-on-one with their stories for less than 2 hours. You're going to be able to get direction and guidance in 3 hours for a fraction of that price, right? So go to the page right now and get your ticket. What are you waiting for, right? Okay, so let's take a step back. How was that? Like, do you see the journey that I took you on? What was the journey that I took you on? It wasn't awkward. It wasn't awkward as I transitioned to talking about the price and that you should go buy your ticket, right? So I'll kind of talk to you about the process that I went through that made that transition, that call to action at the end, simple. First of all, was that like, do you see how it works? Give me some comments, give me some thumbs up and some hearts. I'm going to get a drink because my mouth is really dry. Excuse me. So, do you see the journey that I take you, the audience, on through that? That is something that gets you, excuse me, gets you, the viewer or the audience, to start thinking about, man, that Lance guy is a plumber in Wyoming, and he's been applying these simple things that Nick has been teaching over the last couple of days in these lives. If I had 3 hours of direct guidance, and if I was one of the winners of the hot seat, and I got some very direct, specific stuff for me and my business, oh my gosh, right? And so, of course, you would want to go and spend $50 to go and spend 3 hours with me when I charge $2,000 for 90 minutes, right? So it's a no-brainer, right? So, okay, the journey that I took you on, that was, I told you up front, like, what are you going to get? What's the promise of what you're going to get by attending this? Does anybody remember the features or what you're going to get out of it? It was to unlock the secret to using your stories and your experiences to increase your revenue, sales, and client engagement. To make more money with your stories. Okay? That is the promise of coming to the workshop. The picture that I painted there was about sitting one-on-one and getting guidance and direction on things that you can do that are simple, that we work up in our minds. You'll be able to break through all of those blocks, excuse me, and see the elements of stories and see why they connect to your bank account, basically, and how awesome that would feel. And then I talked about some results, some proof of stuff that Lance experienced or example, how that's somebody right now who we haven't done any one-on-one stuff. He's just been applying the principles that we've been talking about over the last 4 days, and it's working. He's seeing it's getting him thinking about his business in a different way, and he's engaging. And I don't know, he's at a trade show and he's putting it to work, and who knows what results that's going to be. He shared his first ever Instagram story yesterday. Okay, so he's really right at the cusp of beginning, on the ground floor, but he's doing it and he's seeing how it works already. So there's proof. Like, how amazing would it be if it works for a plumber in Wyoming? Who else is it not going to work for, right? And then it's like, so you need to go and get your ticket now, blah, 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 right? The call to action, the pitch, so to speak, happens. Now, when you are thinking of your offer or your pitch or whatever it is that you're wanting people to do, your call to action at the end of your story, there are little things, they call them transition statements or a transitional phrase. It's so hard sometimes to be going from like, telling this stuff and then here's the pitch. Like, it's awkward to be talking about things and teaching or going over concepts to then offering or selling the program or whatever it might be. And so Dean Graziosi at Funnel Hacking Live 2019, earlier this year, Dean Graziosi spoke about sales, and he is a highly successful sales guy, right? He's sold lots of different things. He showed an old video of him like talking about this program that he developed for turning cars into cash. He had his like thick New York accent and stuff. He was really young, but he talked about how when we make that transition from talking about all the struggles and the things that led us to create the thing that we're doing right now, how one, mentally we should feel a moral obligation and we should almost be offended if like we're doing our audience a disservice by not asking for a credit card at the end of the conversation. We should believe so much in what we're doing that that's how we should feel at the end. And like, honestly, what I'm doing with my business, for a while, I used to be afraid to ask for the money, for the credit card, right? For the commitment. But that has changed as I've been applying all these principles and the things that I've been talking about and a lot more. It's a lot easier for me and a lot more natural and comfortable for me to say, like, isn't this incredible? How incredible would it be for you to be, how much growth would you have, blah, 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 with me, all this kind of stuff. That is why I have developed this, right? And so that's one way to transition from information to call to action or to close or to pitch or, that kind of stuff, is a transitional phrase of some sort. Like in the one that I used just a second ago, it's like, it's changed my life completely. Like, so here's another example that I'll show you with how it works for my business. My business and my life changed dramatically when I started doing two things. When I started telling my story and serving others. Those were my two areas of focus. And when I did that, my life and my business took off. Okay? And I spent lots of time working and telling my stories and engaging with people and all that kind of stuff. And that people started to naturally ask me, how do you do this? It's like witchcraft for me. I don't know how you do it. It's so easy for you. I watch you do it and it's so simple, right? And so I started to think about that. And yes, it comes second nature to me. Storytelling has always been in my life and always been a part of my life, right? And because I've been so ingrained in it, I realized that people needed a guide. People needed somebody to show them that they have the story within them, that they don't have to create something completely out of thin air and make something up in order to connect with their audience or to become successful or to get their story out or to build their brand. And so as I realized this, because the more people that I talked to, I realized they all had an incredible story. They just didn't know how to access it or tap into it or unleash it. Everyone has that rocket fuel within them. I just knew how to ignite it. And so what I did is I developed this opportunity to sit one-on-one to guide people through their message, through their life experiences from a different point of view, asking questions, taking a deeper dive here and there, and finding the things, and then to show them the story and the power and the way it connects to their business. And once I started doing that, people freaked out. And so I've developed this awesome, amazing thing for somebody to sit on a call with me one-on-one for 90 minutes, and I will record it with you. We will ask lots of questions. We'll get to know each other a lot better so that you're comfortable, and we'll go into your stories and your experiences. We'll talk about when you went to summer camp when you were a kid. We'll talk about when you started your business. We'll talk about all of these things, and then I will take all that together and show you how that relates to your business and how you can tell that story to make more money, increase your sales, increase your revenue. And in order to do that, you can go over here and schedule a call with me. I only take 5 or 6 of these a month because there's so much time that goes into it, and it takes a lot of my energy that I want to be able to serve you best. You go over here and sign up, and it's one payment of $1,997, and it's for 90 minutes of work together, one-on-one, right? Do you see that transition? Did you see? I was talking about stories, and then by the end, I'm asking for the money, right? And you can do that with a sale or with information or opting in or subscribing or liking or sharing, all of these different ways to go about it. Okay. So, I'm going to take a minute and pause and look at the comments here. Oksana, you have been awesome. You're owning the board here, young lady. So, Oksana says it was so natural that she missed the transition. That's the trick. It was so natural. It's second nature to me because I've done it over and over, that it's natural for you to receive it, right? One thing that if it's as you're trying to figure out how to naturally transition, I have just 2 phrases that I was in my study came across about transitional phrase that you could use. So, out of curiosity, first, how many of you have ever sat around a campfire and told a story? Anybody? So, and I'm curious, when you were sitting around that campfire, when you were sharing your story, did you feel connected to the other people that were there? Did you feel that, heart-to-heart connection sitting across from a fire and sharing your story? Tell me how that felt. Right? Did you see... Now let's take a step back. Did you catch what the transitional phrase was? I used 2 of them in that line of questioning. I started with, out of curiosity, how many of you have sat around a campfire and told a story? Everyone has done something like that. But see, that's a transitional phrase. Out of curiosity, it's not being like, so, have you told your story for your business, Oksana? Have you done it yet? Do you see that how that, like, there are some salespeople that are like that, but it's it doesn't go over well sometimes. That's just a natural, out of curiosity, or I'm just curious, and ask the question that will transition you into that offer or that call to action, right? When you do that, it's disarming to them. They feel comfortable. It's conversational, and it's natural. I am funny, aren't I? Like those are some phrases in order to transition into the wrap up. Now, I want to kind of talk for a second about structurally or like technically what happens at the end of a story. So, I always talk about this, and I'll talk about this in the workshop in more detail. Like beginning, every story has three parts: a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it's silly, but it's totally true. Every story has those 3, and great stories utilize those 3 very specifically and for very intentional purposes. Your story, we've talked about introductions, building up some excitement, getting things set. We're going to talk about the middle and those kinds of things as well at the workshop for sure. But with your business, you're wanting to do this, and then you tell your story, and then you make the offer. The end of the story isn't just like everything is white picket fences and dandelions and tulips and all that kind of, dandelions are weeds, but flowers and white picket fences. And before that happens, before the resolution, that's what always happens in the end. The climax, the resolution of the story happens in the end. But before it, things get really hairy. Like, I'm going to go to Star Wars. I'm super Star Wars today. There's Stormy the Stormtrooper, Shirley the Stormtrooper, and Darth Vader, and all my stuff. So, Star Wars, for instance, in the third act, in the end of the movie, we see that things get really, really dangerous for the main characters, for the rebellion, for Luke Skywalker. He's lost his mentor. The rebels have a small group of ships attacking this huge space station, trying to exploit a weakness. All these kinds of things. People are dying left and right. Ships are blowing up. Darth Vader's wiping out people. Luke Skywalker loses R2-D2. All these things where it's like the pressure is like, if he misses this shot of this proton torpedo, then game over, right? Janine, thanks for hopping on. So we see that and we feel it, right? And then, as we know, the shot goes in, the Death Star blows up, and everything's happy. When you are transitioning and concluding your stories, you need to build up the pressure to the highest that it could possibly be. And when that happens, if you've been leading them on the journey throughout it, they're going to just be like, oh my gosh, and they're going to be primed and ready for that climax, for that resolution. So when it comes to your business, that resolution is the new idea or the product or the thing that you have created. And they're going to be like, oh, and then you say, and that's when I came up with this idea and I put it to, I came up with this idea and I worked, and like you build up that tension of what could be, if this works, my financial problems are going to be solved and everything's going to be amazing, or I'm going to be homeless and I'm about to get fired, and all of these things you just kind of build up that pressure, and then your thing saves the day. And you said, and it changed my life, it changed this person's life, blah blah blah, so I want it to become something that changes your life. Go here and buy, or whatever it is that you're trying to do. Now again, that all depends on what you determine the outcome to be when you decide to go live or write this story or write this script or this copy or things like that, or build this funnel, right? You determine what that end result is, what you want them to feel, think, or do, and then you build it accordingly, okay? So, that is really in a nutshell how to conclude and like transition from information or talking or storytelling and telling a story into a sale or a pitch or a transition into a call to action. You have to guide them on the journey. You prime the pump. You get them ready. You talk about the promises. You paint a nice picture that's not about the features, but it's about the emotional aspect of everything that you're doing. You show them proof of everything that's going on, and then you give them the pitch. And when you do it like I showed earlier, like I demonstrated earlier, it becomes very natural, where your audience doesn't really see it. I told you beforehand what I was going to do, so you could be thinking about it and see it. But like even then, the transition, it was so natural, right? And so it's so simple. It's something you could do on something as simple as an Instagram story. Earlier today, I did Instagram stories. I did two different threads. So one was just about how it's cool enough. It's not too hot where I can work with the window open in my office, and it's nice. And I can hear some construction noise off in the background. Just kind of showing a little behind the scenes of my day and what's been going on. Oh, yeah, before that, I did just a screen capture picture that said, hey, I got a new post, to get people to go and engage with it. And then I talked about how it's so nice. I can work in my office with my window open, and it's great, right? And then from there, I transition into talking about this series of videos that I'm doing. I'm like, I've been doing this awesome thing over on my Facebook page. If you haven't been watching it, you need to go over there and do this. Like I've been talking about this and this and this and this. Go over to the Nick Fitzgerald page and make sure that you don't miss any of it, because it's amazing and I'm giving it away absolutely for free, right? So I led them on this journey of like showing a little bit. Oh, I created this little thing. Go and check that out if you want. But isn't it so cool? I get to work from home. All this kind of stuff. Oh, and I've been talking about and teaching this thing, and it's absolutely free. You should go and check it out. You can use any type of medium to do this. Whether it's video, you should be doing it on video all the time. But like Instagram stories, Facebook Lives, YouTube, sales VSLs for your funnel, or your landing pages, your ad copy, all this kind of stuff. You lead them on that, and that transition is easy. And when you wrap things up nicely in a bow, it gets people excited and gets them primed to go and do more. You can also use the cliffhanger or the suspense kind of thing to build up pressure for the next thing. You know, you look at these launches where they just give you a little bit, enough to get your interest, and there's a hook at the end of the story to get you to be like, oh, what's that? When's that coming out? Oh my gosh, I can't wait for that. And then you come back for the next one to get more information, right? Yeah, it's just something that you can do, super, super simple. So, out of curiosity, I'm just curious, was that good? Was that good information for you guys? Oksana and Janine, I don't know who else might be on, but it's if that was good, I want you to share that with your network, because not only is it helping you, but again, you're going to be sharing this with people and be like, oh my gosh, I learned this. And people are going to see that, and they're going to see you implementing it, because you're an entrepreneur, you're a action taker. You're going to do stuff, and you're going to put this to work. Like my buddy Lance, like I was talking about earlier, he is putting this to work, and it's just fun to see. So I would love for more people to be able to do this. This is free information. It's not something that, I want to be stingy with. I want as many people as I possibly can to see it and to be able to put it to work to grow their business. Just think of you right now, the things that you are learning from this video series. How impactful have they been? How much clarity have you got from it already? And we're not even one full week into it. We go again tomorrow. I take Sunday off, and we keep on going into the next and the next and the next, right? It's just, we're just scratching the surface here of how it works. Now imagine you applying these things and having your business growing and being able to share and help other people as well. That is why I do this. That is why we are in business, is to help and serve people, but also to be able to make money. And I'm giving this away for free because I want to help you guys see that it's simple and you can put it to work right now. I want you guys to start getting that traction, so that when you start to take things even more serious and go to the next level, that you know who you can come to for help, guidance, and to be able to partner and work together on getting stuff like really, really nailed down and tight, right? So that's why I do this, and that is what I want you guys to get out of it. So with that said, today is a beautiful day. It's cloudy here in Utah, and we're about to head out the door to my daughter's school play. It's the last night of her play, so we're going to go do that and get some ice cream afterwards and start the weekend. But you guys, if you're going to be in Phoenix, please come. Just imagine like having 3 hours of this type of coaching guided towards the things that you need to work on and you're struggling with, and to help you really put them to work to growing your business. Okay? So I'll throw the link in the comments if you want, but like seriously, if you're doing nothing else, start applying the things that you've been learning over the last few days or in this session, and put them to work. Tag me in them when you try them in the real world, or send it to me in a direct message or something like that. I want to be able to see you guys growing. Okay? So with that said, hope you have an amazing day, and we'll see you tomorrow, right? I'm going to see you tomorrow. I'm not sure the time yet. I've got a soccer game in the afternoon with my son, so I might go earlier in the day than what I've been doing typically. So be ready for that. Share this and help people start to make traction in your business. And we'll talk to you soon. See you guys.